Alright, so back, we're talking about some more Crisis Core Reunion, and we're also discussing the 35th anniversary for the Final Fantasy series as a whole, because both of these things have upcoming events. So for Crisis Core Reunion, there's going to be like a live stream sort of celebration to kick off the launch of the game happening tomorrow, December 12th at about 8 p.m. Japan time, JST. For me, that's going to be about 5 a.m., so I'm probably going to miss it. Now, that's sort of like celebration live stream, whatever the hell this thing is. We'll feature the Japanese voice actors for Zack and Sephiroth, and then whoever's emceeing the event, but also Tetsuya Nomura is going to be a part of it, which is where it's got people a little more intrigued, just because Nomura's not super active for like gaming event stuff. Like, he's there sometimes, depending on, like, he's done like live streams and stuff like for Soldier or whatever the case, but he's not always a part of shit like that, right? Katasa is the one that you usually see at kind of everything. So it's got people a little more interested, but also Nomura is obviously a big dev when it comes to the FF7 stuff, so it obviously makes sense why he's a part of this. But for the people that are a little more hyped because Nomura's at the event or a part of this, I don't know what it is that they're expecting, because this is just a celebration for, you know, Crisis Core, obviously. Crisis Core Reunion, specifically. So they're just going to be talking about the game, I assume. Like, the translated tweet says that there's going to be, like, FF7 Untold Stories, which that could be kind of cool, I guess. But they're really just, you know, talking about and discussing and celebrating Reunion. So it's not like there's going to be like a fucking Rebirth reveal, which I think is kind of what people are hinting at. Like, they think there's going to be some like big FF7 thing at this event. And there's probably not going to be anything like that. So I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. For one, like the Remake English account hasn't even tweeted about this event, so it seems to almost be like a Japanese exclusive thing. So I'm not even sure if like this live stream is going to have English anything, subtitles, translations, whatever the case. Obviously, we have people on Twitter who are really good translators, so we'll know if there's anything compelling from this live stream. But as of right now, just expect it to be them talking about and celebrating kind of FF7/Crisis Core Reunion, and that's all that's probably going to be. But in terms of there being potential reveals, we do have this 35th anniversary celebration for the Final Fantasy series, which will be happening over the span of like 6 days or so. This will be kicking off on the 13th, same day that Crisis Core Union goes live. So this event will be like celebrating and discussing all the numbered entries in the series from Final Fantasy 1 to 15. I'm a bit surprised they're not including 16. Clearly the game's not out yet. It's not dropping until summer of next year. But we've known about the game for over 2 years now, and this event could have been used to like market and discuss the game some more. They don't have to like have a trailer or anything, but they could have just have like devs talking about it or something, but they're just choosing not to, which is a little strange. I'm assuming, I don't know if we have confirmation or not, that they're going to discuss the games in order. I assume you'd want to start with the first game and go work your way through the series or whatever the case. And in that regard, I assume they're also going to talk about the sequels to some of the games that have those, the spin-off games, whatever the case. So when they talk about Final Fantasy X, whatever day that's going to take place, I assume they'd also talk about 10 too. And when it comes to like 13, they talk about 13 Trilogy. When it comes to 7, they talk about all the spin-offs of that as well. But because they're going to work their way through the entire series, that's where there's potential for a lot of different reveals. For starters, like Final Fantasy IX. There's that elusive Final Fantasy IX remake. That's something we've been talking about, discussing for a long time at this point, more than a year at this point. That NVIDIA GeForce Now leak, like I think November of last year or something, somewhere on that time frame. We also have that Final Fantasy IX animated series. We've talked about it being like an anime in the past, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be an animated series, more like a cartoon. It's supposed to be a little more geared towards kids or whatever the case. Like, that's something that was revealed by, like, the studio that's supposed to be making it a long time ago. And then it's supposed to have some sort of, like, actual reveal at some anime convention, gaming convention, some time ago. But that didn't happen, so who knows what the fuck's going on with that. But the fact that they're going to have to talk about Final Fantasy IX at some point during this 35th anniversary celebration, maybe some of those things come up. Who knows? I don't know if they would want to reveal, like, a 9 remake at this event, but who knows? And actually, speaking of all this, it's weird how often I talk about shit on Twitter and then like a day or two later we talk about it in a video, but we're talking about the 9 remake and the animated series yesterday. The thing is, when it comes to the studio that's supposed to be making this, Cyber Group Studios, like they've announced in the past projects that have taken upwards of like 3 years to really happen. So even though it feels like it's been a long time since the 9 animated series was announced, there's still really plenty of time for it to actually happen. And continuing on through the series, when it comes to Final Fantasy X, there's the possibility of them discussing that potential Final Fantasy X-3. And the only reason I mention this is because the devs actually talked about it before. This isn't like some hypothetical thing, some tinfoil hat shit, some hopeful wishing. It's like the devs themselves, as recent as like last year, 2021, Nomura himself has talked about that possibility of a 10-3. And that, you know, Nojima already has like a kind of a synopsis or a baseline for what the story would be. Presumably a 10-3 would be based on Final Fantasy X Will, which was that audio drama that's included with like the HD remasters and shit, where it's like a follow-up to like 10-2. It's like set like a year after that. I know there's a character who's supposedly like Orin's daughter. I think her name's like Chiwami or something. I don't remember the entire story off the top of my head. Obviously, I could look it up if I wanted to. But I know by the end of it, like Sin's magically back somehow. We don't really know how or why, and they gotta like fight Sin again. Which is a little weird just because we defeated Yu Yevon at the end of 10, so that should have defeated Sin permanently, but there's also nothing's really dead in Final Fantasy X, so maybe that's why Sin's back or whatever. But presumably that'd be it. But I've also heard people discuss that they wouldn't mind a prequel game So like 10-3 could be a prequel where you're doing like Oranject and Broska's journey, their story. And I think that'd be pretty awesome, to be honest. Now, to clarify, I'm not saying that they're going to reveal a 10-3 at this event, but they might talk about it or discuss it again, the potential for it eventually, whatever the case. Because they've said in interviews that their focus right now is 7 Remake, and we're obviously still waiting on the second game of that, and that inevitable third game some years down the road. So until the trilogy's done for 7 Remake, they're probably not even going to do anything with 10-3 at all. And then kind of hopping back in the potential timeline for when they're going to be talking about games is Final Fantasy VII, obviously. This is where people are a little excited because we've been kind of waiting on another reveal or anything for Rebirth, and this is, I guess, as good a place as any, right? I mean, I don't know where else you would do this. We thought the Game Awards potentially, but nothing happened there. So it makes sense that they're going to talk about FF7. They're going to talk about all the supplemental materials for FF7, I would assume. That includes Rebirth. Now, will they show something for Rebirth? A new trailer? I don't know. This is all happening on Niconico, I think is how you say that, which is like a video hosting service. So I'm assuming something kind of YouTube adjacent, something that's exclusive to Japan as far as I'm aware. Don't know anything about it. I'm speaking completely out of my ass if I talk about whatever this is. I have absolutely zero idea how popular this service is, but I'm assuming it's relatively popular. Otherwise, they wouldn't celebrate 35 years of Final Fantasy with it. That being said, it's as good a place as any to get some sort of reveal for Rebirth if they wanted to do that, right? I mean, the first reveal we ever got for the game was an anniversary celebration, right? 25 years of Final Fantasy VII. So it kind of makes sense when you think about it in that regard, but I don't know, man. It's hard to know exactly how much they want to market this while they're still marketing for 16, right? I mean, clearly 16's been known about for a couple of years now, and people thought it'd be practically impossible for Square Enix to ever talk about, discuss, or reveal Remake Part 2, as we called it back then, while they're still marketing for 16, but that clearly wasn't the case, right? Now, they gave us a little teaser trailer at the 25th anniversary, but that never was an indication that they were going to start marketing or talking about the game at all this year. We're hopeful for that, but the year's coming to a close. At the very latest, obviously, it'll be next year. Like, they're 100% they're going to be showing and talking about Rebirth next year, because it's a fucking release window is technically next year, at the end of next year, right? So, I know people are impatient, they want more, and I'm the same way. But I don't know how likely it is, but again, this 35th anniversary celebration, whatever you want to call it, is as good a place as any. And actually, to kind of have a little more fun with this discussion, I don't know if we have a schedule for this shit. Like I said previously, I don't know what's being shown when. I'm just assuming they're doing the games in order. But this event is starting on the 13th, right? And depending on what day they want to talk about Final Fantasy VII, that could potentially fall on December 16th. And if that is the case, that would be exactly 6 months to the day from the 25th anniversary. Obviously, that happened on June 16th. And if that is the case, it'd be exactly half a year since they revealed Rebirth, so maybe they want to show something again, right? It's been a long time. It's, you know, we need something. At least talk about it. You don't have to actually give us a trailer as much as we all fucking want that. They don't have to. They could. I'm hopeful they do. Hopeful they will. Because I want something. I'm desperate for it. I'm fiending. Like an addict. Give me something. At the very least, I'm hoping that they talk about the game to some capacity. If they show something, that's great. But I think a good thing that they could do is give us an idea of when they're next going to actually discuss it or reveal something for the game. Like, that'd be like the perfect thing at this event, is to be like, hey, we're going to talk about, you know, Rebirth or show Rebirth or whatever the case in the first, like, couple months of 2023. Like, just give us a window of when we can next expect the game, and that'd be perfect. Anyways, that's more or less the video, my dudes. So this next week is going to be pretty interesting, right? So we got the Crisis Core celebration thing happening tomorrow, then Crisis Core Reunion's dropping on Tuesday, and then all throughout the week leading up to next Sunday is the 35th celebration anniversary thing for the Final Fantasy series itself. So there could be a lot of things that are shown right here, because we've only talked about a handful of titles in this video, but there's 15 goddamn games here. So who knows what is discussed or talked about or shown, revealed, whatever. I know some people want the, what's like the Pixel remasters or something. I think they're on a, what are they on, like just PC or just PC Switch or something like that. I think people want them to come to like actual consoles, so maybe that's something that's revealed throughout this week or something. Who knows? Anyways, that's the video, my dudes. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.